When I was 50 pounds overweight, I was like, okay, I'm going to save my calories. I'm not going to eat. I'm just going to have a coffee for breakfast. I'm going to bring a banana and a yogurt for lunch. And then guess what happened when I got home? I was ravenous, okay? And sometimes I was doing these things without even realizing. I'd come home, I'd cook dinner, I'd be popping food in my mouth while I'm cooking dinner. And then at nighttime, I'd be snacking. And I see this pattern constantly with clients that come to see us. Welcome to Muscle, Strength, and Menopause, the podcast for women over 40 who refuse to accept that nothing works anymore. I'm your host, Sarah Frenza, a certified nutrition coach, fitness expert, and hormone and menopause specialist, and the founder of the science-backed Hourglass Body Method. After losing 50 pounds in my 40s and helping hundreds of women transform their bodies and life, I'm here to show you the real way to lose fat, build muscle, and get stronger in midlife without burnout, starvation, or shame. If you're tired of fighting your hormones, struggling with stubborn belly fat, or wondering if it's too late to build the strong, confident body you want, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll break down the science, bust the myths, and share the exact strategies that are working right now for women in perimenopause and menopause. Because muscle is your menopause superpower, and we're about to show you how to claim it. Let's dive in. This is going to be one of my episodes of my podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 ways to curb nighttime snacking without feeling deprived. Moving forward, all of you, because you're part of my community, will be able to hear my podcast live, being recorded live here in the group every Thursday, or might be Friday, depending. And you'll be able to ask me questions live here, and then the podcast episode will be released afterwards. So this is going to be one of my first podcast episodes that I am going to be releasing. This is something special. Hopefully next week, everything will be released. You'll be able to listen to it. It's called Muscle, Strength, and Menopause on Apple. You'll be able to listen to it on Spotify. All of these live trainings that I've done in the Facebook group here for the past several years, that was practice for me before I felt like, okay, I want to release these as a podcast because I've gotten so much positive feedback from a lot of you that you like these topics and that you wish that I had done them in a podcast style. So now you will be able to listen to them in a podcast style, and you will be able to share this with your friends and family. Any women over the age of 40 who you think can benefit. So for those of you who are not aware of who I am, my name is Coach Sarah Frenza. I'm a certified women's nutrition and fitness coach. I'm also now a hormone and menopause coaching specialist. And today we're going to talk about something I know so many of you struggle with is nighttime snacking. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. We've been, good all day. Dinner's done, kitchen's clean, then 8 p.m. hits and suddenly you're standing in front of the pantry like it's calling your name. Or maybe you're on a couch watching Netflix and before you know it, you've demolished a half a bag of chips, maybe had a bag of crackers. You know what I'm talking about, dipped into the candy. Here's what I want you to know right off the bat, that this is not about willpower. This is not about being bad or lacking discipline. There are real biological reasons this is happening, especially for women in perimenopause and menopause. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens and give you practical strategies to work with your body instead of against it. Now, before I dive in, I want to remind you all that I am running a 28-day menopause fat loss Kickstart challenge. So if you are over the age of 40, this challenge is for you. Okay. So when I talk about menopause, I'm talking about the whole transition, perimenopause, 3 to 10 years before you hit menopause. And that can start in your late 30s, but we know it starts in your early 40s. And then menopause is the day that you hit 12 months without a period. And then you have post-menopause. Okay. So if you're in this transition, meaning if you're between the ages of 40 or 65, this is a challenge for you because this challenge is done in a way that we are supporting your hormones. And this is a fat loss challenge. So what you will get with the challenge is a customized meal plan that is specifically for you. Because one of the other biggest struggles that I hear, besides nighttime snacking, is that A lot of you struggle with not knowing what foods to eat, not knowing how much food to eat in order to lose body fat and get toned and see the body composition changes that you're looking to achieve. So we are solving this problem for you. We are giving you a customized meal plan specifically for you, your goals, your height, your weight, your activity level. It is specifically for you. And if you are thinking or wanting to work with us in our one-on-one coaching program, because there are two ways to work with us. One is through our one-on-one coaching program. And number two is to work with us in our 28-day challenge so that you can get a taste of what it's like to work with us in our one-on-one coaching program. So you will get a fat loss meal plan, a calorie deficit meal plan specifically for you and your body type. It is designed for you to lose anywhere to between 4 to 8 pounds within 28 days. This is the typical results that a lot of our clients that join the challenge get. In addition to that, you get a progressive overload strength training program that you can do at home or at the gym. It's given to you via an app. And this is the right way to train for women over 40 so that we can stimulate your body to build lean muscle so that you look really toned, fit, and defined. So that your workouts are actually creating the body composition changes that you're looking to create. In addition to that, you will get weekly coaching calls. Those are done with myself. And those weekly coaching calls are done with me weekly. And in between, and those weekly coaching calls, just so you know, they are very educational. It's teaching you the why behind what we're doing. We're giving you hormone education as well, too, so you can understand why we're doing what we're doing. And then if you do decide, there are two options in the challenge. One is a group coaching option, which is $117. And then we have the VIP option, which is $297. So if you do the VIP option, you will get a coach that will work with you one-on-one. That's my assistant coach, Tammy, that will work with you one-on-one throughout the whole 28 days. This includes 3 one-on-one coaching calls with her, in addition to the group calls that you get. And you get access to her for the 28 days via text messaging as well, too. So this challenge starts October the 25th. So there are only 7 days left to register. The last day to register is on October the 23rd. After that, registration closes and we will no longer be running another 28-day challenge for 2025. You'll have to wait for 2026 for us to run our next 28-day challenge. So these are the 2 ways that you can work with us. One-on-one coaching program, which is a minimum 6-month or 12-month program. Or you can try the 28-day challenge and do the VIP option, which will give you a very good experience of what it would be like to work with us in our one-on-one coaching program. So if you want to do that, I'll drop the registration link to that in the chat for those of you that want to join that. So let's get on with the training. So let's first of all understand why we get hungry at nighttime. Okay, so let's start with understanding why nighttime hunger hits so hard, especially for women over 40. So we're going to talk about 2 hormones that affect your hunger. These are your hunger hormones. The 2 main players here are called ghrelin. So ghrelin is your hunger hormone that tells you to eat. Leptin is your fullness hormone that tells you to stop eating. It tells you, okay, we're full. We don't need to eat anymore. So when you're sleep deprived, which let's be honest, a lot of women in this phase of our lives, perimenopause, this is a very, very common symptom, is that a lot of you are not getting good quality sleep. This could be due to the fact that your habits, maybe you don't have good sleeping habits. You're not going to bed at a regular time, waking up at a regular time. There's not a good bedtime routine put in place. So a lot of you are getting 5-6 hours of sleep every night. And a lot of you have a hard time falling asleep, or you are waking up in the middle of the night and getting that cortisol wake up between the hours of, let's say 1 and 4 a.m. So if this is you, where you're struggling with sleeping, let me know in the comment section, comment sleep, that this is something that you're struggling with right now. But when you're not sleeping well, your ghrelin levels go up and your leptin levels go down. So you're literally hungrier and less satisfied when you eat. It's not in your head. Now, add perimenopause and menopause to the mix. So when estrogen starts to declining, we see that your blood sugar becomes less stable. You become more insulin resistant. Your cortisol patterns get disrupted due to the loss of estrogen, and your sleep quality tanks. Okay, we know this. It's a direct relation to the withdrawal of estrogen that happens during perimenopause and menopause, and also the withdrawal of progesterone, which progesterone is a very calming hormone. And so this is why we start to see a lot of these sleep disturbances happening. So, and here's what happens during the day that sets you up for nighttime snacking. So we have this undereating trap. So many of you are skipping breakfast, having a tiny salad for lunch, maybe grabbing a coffee instead of a snack. You're running on fumes all day long, and your body is starving for nutrients by evening. So of course, you're going to be ravenous. This used to be me. When I was 50 pounds overweight, I was like, okay, I'm going to save my calories. I'm not going to eat. I'm just going to have a coffee for breakfast. I'm going to bring a banana and a yogurt for lunch. And then guess what happened when I got home? I was ravenous, okay? And sometimes I was doing these things without even realizing. I'd come home, I'd cook dinner, I'd be popping food in my mouth while I'm cooking dinner. And then at nighttime, I'd be snacking. And I see this pattern constantly with clients that come to see us. They're trying to be good all day by eating as little as possible, then wonder why they can't stop eating at night. Your body is trying to make up for what it didn't get during the day. Okay? Your body needs nutrients. Then we have this blood sugar roller coaster. So when you're not eating consistent meals throughout the day with enough protein, your blood sugar is spiking and crashing all day long. This is why we have a lot of times this 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon when you're craving sugar, it's like, oh my God, I need something to eat. And so you're at the office and somebody brings in donuts and you can't help yourself. You're just wanting that. And that's just because that is your body's way of telling you that it needs energy. And it's also a blood sugar dysregulation that's happening. So by the evening, your body is desperately seeking quick energy. So hello, sugar. Hello, carbs. It's quick and easy. You're craving that. Then we have the stress cortisol connection. So after a long day, your cortisol should naturally decline to help you wind down for sleep. But if you're chronically stressed, running on empty, and not sleeping well, your cortisol stays elevated. And elevated evening cortisol, that drives cravings for high-calorie comfort foods. Plus, let's be real. For many of us, nighttime is the first time all day we actually slow down. The kids are in bed, work is done, and suddenly we have a moment to ourselves, and food becomes our reward or comfort for me time. If anyone could relate to any of the things that I've said, type yes if this sounds like your evening. Okay, if this sounds like your evening, that this is typically what happens, you're not alone. This is very, very common in what we see with a lot of the women that come to work with us or a lot of the women in the community and what you're telling me. Now let's go into the perimenopausal or menopause factor. So let's dive into what's happening specifically during perimenopause and menopause that makes nighttime snacking even more challenging. So we have this estrogen-serotonin connection. Estrogen helps regulate serotonin. This is your feel-good neurotransmitter. As estrogen declines, so does your serotonin. And guess what your body craves to boost serotonin? Carbs. And this is why you might find yourself craving bread, pasta, cookies, or chips in the evening. Your brain is literally trying to self-medicate. Then we have the sleep disruption cycle. So sleep disruption from hot flashes, night sweats. Women start to experience more anxiety, having to pee multiple times throughout the night. And that having to pee multiple times throughout the night, meaning that you're waking up that is a cortisol spike that happens and wakes you up to pee. Because if you're sleeping very soundly, and even, this has happened even with me over the past few years, like I started noticing that I was waking up in the middle of the night as well too, because I'm in perimenopause. I'm going to be 47 this year. And now that I sleep well, I don't wake up in the middle of the night to go pee anymore. It wasn't the pee that was waking me up. It was the fact that it's a cortisol spike that's happening, and it's also a blood sugar dysregulation. So when you're not sleeping well, it creates this vicious cycle. Poor sleep leads to increased hunger hormones. Increased hunger leads to nighttime eating. Nighttime eating, leads to, blood sugar dysregulations, and around we go with this cycle. Now let's talk about what happens after the age of 40, okay? There is a big factor of muscle loss that is happening. So after the age of 40, we're losing about 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade, especially if we're not actively strength training to build lean muscle. And so that less muscle mass means that we have a slower metabolism, we have less stable blood sugar, we become more insulin resistant, and then which can lead to stronger cravings. Then the other thing that happens is that we have this progesterone drop. So progesterone is your calming, sleep promoting hormone. In perimenopause, this often is the first decline that happens. So typically we see progesterone levels drop first. This is why we notice that this is one of the first symptoms that we see with women in perimenopause, is that we notice that their sleep starts to get disrupted. So waking up in the middle of the night, or waking up to pee in the middle of the night, not being able to fall asleep well. This progesterone drop also causes feelings of anxiousness. Your sleep quality suffers, and you're more likely to stress eat. So here's what I want you to understand. Your changing hormones are creating a perfect storm for this nighttime hunger. But, and this is important, trying to white-knuckle your way through it with willpower is not the answer. The answer is working with these changes and through your nutrition and lifestyle habits and exercise routine. We can work with this so that we can get rid of that, okay? So that your nighttime snacking can be more well controlled and not be out of control. The other thing that does happen, and I will mention this, is that the drop of estrogen and progesterone also does disrupt your ghrelin and leptin hormones. And this is why women, happen to me too. This is why women feel so much hunger. It's like, I cannot get enough food, and their hunger is like just very uncontrollable. So let's talk about strategies. Okay. So how do we overcome this? How do we get better at this? So let's talk about strategies of what we can do. So the first solution, strategy number 1, is called my 80-20 approach. And this is a game changer for my clients. For those of you that are watching that are my clients, you know that we implement this. Here's the deal. 80% of you should be, 80% of what you eat should be nutrient dense whole foods. What do I mean by whole foods? These are single ingredient foods: broccoli, vegetables, fruit, potatoes, sweet potatoes, quinoa, oats, single ingredient foods when it comes to your protein sources: chicken, turkey, ground beef, steak, fish, Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is like semi-processed, but Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, like cheeses, these are kind of semi-processed, but they're still very whole foods, meaning that they're single ingredient foods that you're eating. And the other 20%, that's your fun foods. These are a little bit more processed foods, your treats, your soul food. And yes, you can enjoy this every single day. And I'll explain to you why this works, okay? You're never being deprived. When you know that you can have, a little bit of chocolate or a little bit of a fun treat every single day, you lose that forbidden appeal. And when you're well nourished, when you're having 80% of your food coming from whole foods, your body is getting the nutrients it needs. And then number 3, this avoids that binge cycle. The no more, you know what, I've been great all week, I've avoided everything, now I'm going to eat everything and binge on the weekend. So here's how you want to implement this. During the day, you want to focus on protein with every meal. Minimum 30 grams of protein for every meal. Some of you may need more of that. It might be 35 or 40 grams of protein, depending on what your goal is. But you want a minimum, if you're somebody that's just starting off, 30 grams of protein at every meal, including your snacks. Okay? We want tons of vegetables. This is full of fiber, and the fiber helps regulate blood sugar levels. The protein helps regulate blood sugar levels. So we want lots of fiber, tons of vegetables and fruits on your plate. We want to be consuming healthy fats like avocado, nuts, olive oil, avocado oil, and then a lot of complex carbohydrates like quinoa, sweet potato, oats, okay? Then, so we want 80% of your calories coming from whole foods. And then you can fit in some of the 20% fun foods. Plan them. Don't leave them to chance. This is what we do with our clients. This is what we will teach you if you join our 28-day challenge, is how to have the appropriate round of calories coming from some fun foods. Have them enjoy them mindfully without guilt. So for example, maybe the way that this would work is that, let's say your daily calorie goal is 1,800 calories. Your threshold for processed foods is 360 calories. Okay, because if you do 1,800 times 20%, that equals 360. So that means we do not want more than 360 calories of your daily calories coming from processed foods. 80%, so the rest of your calories for that day, so 1,800 minus 360, that's 1,440 calories, needs to come from single ingredient, nutrient dense foods. The other 20%, that can include some of these processed foods, okay? So what is considered processed? Breads, crackers, wraps, cereals, some of your fun foods like a little bit of chocolate or chips, maybe a little bit of candy, can come from that. The rest of the foods want to be nutrient-dense foods. And the key is you're choosing it, not being controlled by it. And one of my clients, told me, Sarah, once I started allowing myself a small treat daily, I stopped obsessing about food. I haven't binged in 3 months since I started your program. And that is because not only are we regulating blood sugar levels by having appropriate meals throughout the day, but we're also strategically planning to fit in these fun foods daily. It's about balance and sustainability. Because what happens when you do a diet like a no-carb diet? What's going to happen? When you see carbs or you have a piece of carb, you're going to binge on it. And it's the same thing in having this approach where we have this 80-20% approach to eating. So strategy number 2, and this might surprise you, is to actually plan for an evening snack. Yes, you heard that right. Here's why this works. Instead of trying not to snack and then losing control, you're being strategic about it. So a perfect evening snack formula would be a protein with a carb and even a little bit of fat. And this combination, the reason why this works, it helps stabilize blood sugar throughout the night. So it can avoid that wake up that you have in the middle of the night, which can be a direct relation to a blood sugar drop, which spikes cortisol, and then cortisol wakes you up. It promotes a better night's sleep. And it prevents that hunger, those cravings that you have in the evening. So the carbs help with actually lowering cortisol levels. So if you're someone that's, a lot of women are tired, have that wired but tired feeling in the evening, which means that cortisol levels are elevated. If we have a little bit of a carbohydrate at nighttime, that can help actually lower cortisol levels. And carbs help with tryptophan. Tryptophan converts to serotonin, and then it converts to melatonin. So again, it can help increase melatonin at nighttime. And this naturally improves better quality sleep. And we know that if we have better quality sleep, we have better hunger hormone regulation for the next day. And so the protein also helps regulate the blood sugar levels as well too. And so that is why we want to have a protein and a carb. And some evening snacks that you can have is a little bit of Greek yogurt. That's your protein with a little bit of berries. That's your carb. Maybe you want to add a little bit of crushed walnuts on there or some almonds. That would be your fat. The other thing that you can do is you can have some apple slices with a little bit of like low fat cheese. That would be your protein. And the cheese also has a little bit of fat in it. You could do some cottage cheese with maybe some pineapple. That would be your carbs, and a little bit of pumpkin seeds on top, or even some unsweetened shredded coconut for your fat. You could do a small protein smoothie with a little bit of banana and nut butter, or you could do some hard-boiled eggs with a little bit of whole grain toast as well too. These are some really great snack options. The other thing that I love to have is like a turkey pepperette with also a cheese string. Really simple, a snack that you can have at bedtime and plan for it. If you have your snack, about 90 minutes before bed, that would be great. You can even do 2 hours before bed. Keep portions moderate. You want to have anywhere between 15 to 20 grams of protein, but you can also do 20 to 30 grams of carbs. You can also do a little bit more protein if you want. And I had one client tell me, I was skeptical about eating before bed, but now I sleep through the night. It's actually helping me sleep a lot better. And I don't wake up, super starving. So remember, this is the strategic fueling, not emotional eating. There's a huge difference. And the third strategy is your daytime foundation, what you're doing throughout the day. And honestly, this is the most important one. You've got to set yourself up for success during the day. So the non-negotiables is number one, eat breakfast. You got to eat breakfast at least 90 minutes within waking up. And I know a lot of you are like, I'm not hungry in the morning. I had a client with this recently, and I'm like, you got to try and eat something. Skipping breakfast sets off the cascade for hunger hormones. It also dysregulates your blood sugar level right off the bat. It can also increase your cortisol. So starting with something in the morning that has protein in it is really, really important. Even a protein shake with some banana in it or fruit in it. If you can't stomach a meal, you could even do a little bit of protein in your coffee in the morning, a protein, scoop of protein powder in your coffee in the morning. You got to start your day with some protein, a little bit of carbs, so that you are starting your day with regulating blood sugar levels, okay? Then from there, we got to make sure that we are having protein at every meal following that, okay? So if you're having 4 meals a day, or maybe you're having 5 meals a day, so you could do breakfast, a small snack. I'll go actually a sample structure in a moment here. We want to make sure that we're having protein and fiber at every single meal, because both of these things keep you satisfied longer. It stabilizes your blood sugar level. Protein helps preserve lean muscle mass, which we know we're losing at an accelerated rate during perimenopause and menopause. And when we have less muscle on our body, we become more insulin resistant and dysregulate. We want to make sure that we're having that. And then also reduces cravings. Just getting enough protein, you feel full, you feel satiated. You're not craving and chasing, carbs all day long because your body wants that. It's craving that protein. Do not go more than 4 to 5 hours without eating. Actually, for me personally, I recommend do not go more longer than 4 hours without eating. Long gaps equal blood sugar crashes and more evening binges. Think about how hungry you get without eating all morning, and then maybe you're eating at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're starving. Number 4, make sure you're hydrating properly. Half of your body weight in ounces. You weigh 180 pounds. Half of that would be 90 ounces minimum of water per day. And this can come from water, herbal teas, any type of drinks that you're having. Make sure you're hydrating properly throughout the day. Number 5, make sure you're planning your meals. So when you don't have a plan, you undereat, you're just winging your nutrition throughout the day, it's going to cause that nighttime snacking, okay? I used to be this girl. I used to be this girl. I just gave you the example. I would go all morning without eating, eat a very small lunch. And then at nighttime, when I got home from work, it was like eating everything in my cupboard and wondering like, oh my God, what is so wrong with me? Like, why am I eating so much? Why can't I control myself? This is your body telling you it wants energy. Your blood sugar levels are dysregulated. Cortisol, insulin, these hormones are dysregulated. We have to nourish your body properly with food, with meals throughout the day so that we can regulate all of these things. So what would be a sample day structure? Let's say you have breakfast at 7 a.m. That could be breakfast with 30 grams of protein. Then maybe you have a snack with 15 grams or 20 grams of protein. Then maybe at lunchtime, you have a lunch with at least 30 grams of protein, lots of veggies, complex carbohydrates. And then maybe you have another afternoon snack. This is if you did like 1, 2, 3 meals a day and 3 snacks. Ideally, I would say ideally, it's probably better to do like, you could do 6 or you could do 5 meals a day, really whatever you want. If you're having your breakfast a little bit later around, maybe you don't get up that early, maybe you have your breakfast at 8:30 and then you can go until like 12 for lunch. And then you have your lunch. Then you might have an afternoon snack at around 3:30. Then you have your dinner. And then you plan for your strategic evening snack at around 8 or 8:30 at night. When you fuel properly during the day, nighttime cravings naturally diminish. And it's not about willpower. It's about biology. It's about what's going on with your hormones during this phase of your life and ensuring that we are properly fueling throughout the day with protein-packed meals, with enough fiber throughout the day. We want to be getting at least 25 grams of fiber throughout the day because that will help with digestion. And it also helps with regulating blood sugar levels. So fiber coming from veggies, fruits, avocados are very high in fiber. You've got some other grains as well too. Beans are high in fiber. You want to mix these into the daytime so that we are regulating those blood sugar levels. Fasting is one of the worst things that you can do in this age. Maybe your body responded to it better a long time ago, but right now, fasting is one of the worst things that you could do in this age group. It dysregulates cortisol. It causes your body to break down lean muscle mass. So let's just say you fast and you go work out in the morning and do a strength training workout. Your body's going to use muscle as energy. We know that. That is what the research tells us, specifically for women. Do not follow research that is done on men. We need the research that is done on women and women that are over the age of 40. And that is the research that I look at and what I study. So when people are saying, fasting works for women in this age group, who were the people participating in the study? Were they younger females? Were they males? Our biology changes as we age over the age of 40. Literally changes because we do not have the same amount of estrogen and progesterone that we did when we were younger women. So we got to look at, and that estrogen receptors are all over the body. So it affects our whole system. It affects our entire system. So the other thing, let's just kind of quickly recap everything. Thank you for all of you for staying for so long. I had to restart a little bit later. So why you're hungry at night, hormonal changes from perimenopause, not eating properly throughout the day, poor sleep, which can create more hunger, hormone imbalances, and blood sugar instability. We want to make sure that we implement the 80-20 rule and plan for those treats at nighttime, for those snacks at nighttime. We want to create strategic evening snacking, and then also building your daytime foundation with those meals. Never skip breakfast, protein at every single meal, fiber, 25 grams of fiber per day, and making sure that you're eating at least every 4 hours and making sure that you're staying hydrated. So what I'd love for you to do is I want you to pick one strategy and implement it consistently over the next 7 days. Just one. Don't try to do all of them at once. Drop a 1, 2, or 3 in the comments to tell me which strategy you're going to do, which is the 80. The first one is implement the 80-20 rule. The second one is create a strategic evening snack. Or the third one is build your daytime foundation. And remember, this is not about perfection. It's about working with your body's changes, not against them. When you understand the why behind your cravings, you can address the root cause instead of just trying to willpower your way through it. You're not broken. You're not weak. Your body is going through massive hormonal changes and it needs support. So I hope this was incredibly helpful. The reason why I did this topic is because when a lot of you joined my group and I ask you the 3 questions when you join my group, what is the one thing that you're struggling with? This was a very common one. Nighttime snacking. I want to stop nighttime snacking. It's out of control. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you're thinking, what, Sarah, this makes so much sense, but I need more support to actually implement this. I hear you. Knowing what to do and actually doing it consistently are 2 different things, especially when your hormones are not the same, when your biology of your body is changing and what used to work for you before is no longer working for you. So that's exactly why I created our 101 coaching program. It's specifically for women over 40 who are dealing with these exact challenges. We don't just talk about what you eat. We create a complete system that works for your life, your schedule, your changing hormones. And many of my clients lose that stubborn menopause belly. They lose body fat. They're sleeping better. They're having more energy. And yes, enjoying their food without guilt because we teach them that 80-20 rule while building muscle. That's going to keep their metabolism fired up for forever as long as they continue to build muscle. And again, there's 2 ways to work with us. You can work with us in our 28-day challenge, which I talked about in the beginning here, or you can work with us through our 101 coaching program. Either way, you can reach out to me if you want to find out a little bit more. I will drop the link to register for our 28-day challenge starting October the 25th. And, before you go away, I'd love to know your biggest takeaway. You could drop that in the comment. Was there anything, an aha moment that you had? Please let me know. And just remember, you're not alone in this. These changes are normal. They're manageable. And with the right strategies, you can feel amazing in your body again. Thanks for joining me today. Now go plan that strategic evening snack. And I can't wait for you ladies to join me again next week in another live training. Oh, next week, I'm actually going to be doing live cooking. That is on October the 21st. I'm going to be making this new recipe that I found, which is a chicken pizza crust. So please make sure you join me next week. If you can't join me live, the replays are always in the Facebook group. And of course, for, the live cooking will not be on my podcast. But if you want to hear some of these episodes coming forward, you will be able to tune in on my podcast coming up, which is going to be my Muscle Strength and Menopause podcast. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry about the beginning and the loss that you couldn't hear me. I hope this was really helpful. Let me just make sure that we don't have any new comments here before I go away, because I would love to answer any comments that we have here. No, we don't have any, just that you guys told me that you could not hear me in the beginning, and a lot of you having issues with sleep. So hopefully you can implement these. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies, and we will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to the Muscle Strength and Menopause podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you hit the follow, leave a 5-star review, or share this with another woman over 40 who needs to hear this message. And if you're ready to stop working against your hormones and start building the muscle that becomes your menopause superpower, visit sarahfrenzafitness.com to learn about my 101 coaching program using my signature hourglass body method. Remember, this isn't your decline, ladies. This is your comeback. And so I hope you tune in again next week. Now, before we go, a quick reminder, this podcast offers health, nutrition, and fitness information for entertainment and educational purpose only. Always consult with your physician or healthcare professional for any health-related questions. And remember that any information provided here is at your own risk.